Hey guys, in today's tutorial we're going to be making this draped dress with a deep neckline. Okay, if that's what you want to see, then keep watching this video till the very end. Okay, please do not forget to subscribe. This is Amen Clothing YouTube channel where we teach you how to use patterns to create unlimited designs. Let's head straight to the pattern drafting tutorial. You will need your basic bodice, of course, your waist dart and your side bust dart, which are the basic. For my center front, I'll go ahead to mark 2 inches like so, and then I'll go ahead to mark the midpoint of my shoulder. So having done this now, I'm going to be connecting this line to this one in a slant form. So I decided to increase that place by ½ inch. I decided to go a bit forward by ½ inch. So I used my ruler to join it like so. Can you see the way the curve is? It's not a straight line, it's a curved line. We want to form that kind of curved effect. Okay, so this is what it looks like. I'll be using my marker to make this more visible. So many of you are complaining about not seeing my markings, so I decided to use a marker, okay, to make it more visible so you guys can see it clearly. Now, having done this, we'll head over to the next lines, the next style lines, okay. From that part, I marked ½ inch. From that very line, I marked ½ inch, and I'll be connecting it. I'll be drawing a straight line to meet that ½ inch line like so. I'll also go ahead to mark, okay, I use my marker to make it visible, okay. Whatever I mark, I try to use my marker to make it visible so you guys will understand more. Also, I'll go ahead to kind of mark another line from that very part. I'll mark another ½ inch. This is optional to you. You can mark as many lines as you want, okay. Just make sure it's directing to a point where you can open up that and you have something to fold over. So I'll be using my marker also to make this part very visible. And I found out that I have a lot of inches before the center front. I want to have just a little, about 0.2 inches before the center front. So I'm going ahead now to extend these lines. Okay, here is not necessary. You can do whatever you want. You can leave yours to be like this, but I'm teaching exactly on the design that is on the thumbnail, okay? So I went ahead to increase the other markings. Like I said, it's nothing serious. I'm just increasing the markings so as it can be closer to the center front. I hope that is understandable. I'm going to have to increase them so that it can be closer to the center front. And right now, this is what we are having, okay? I'm using my ruler to extend these lines so they can be closer to the center front. You can leave yours the way it was. So that is it, okay? This is all that we're having. And the next thing we're going to do now is to start manipulating our darts. I went ahead to open up my waist darts like so. I went ahead to open up my waist darts, okay? And I'll be taking it off. And I'm cutting open from the very first star line, like so. So I'll be closing my waist dart now. I hope that is understandable. While opening it on that star line. I went ahead to close my waist dart while opening it on that star line. So I used my tape to hold this down. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do well to subscribe, like this video, and comment in the comment section. Now I'm going to be opening my side bust dart. Okay, I'm going ahead now to open my side bust dart. And of course, the other star line, we are going to be creating a pleat for it using the dart of the side bust dart, like so. So once I've removed the dart, I'll go ahead to open up the other star line, like so. And then close my side bust dart. So here is it. Now I went ahead to add a fresh pattern paper underneath so that I can open up these lines and decide how much pleats that I'm going to be having or the distance between each of the star lines, okay. So I went ahead to keep my center front in place. I kept my center front in place. Then I'm going to determine the distance between each of the star lines. Like also this very particular part is up to you what you want to do. I didn't use any measurements. Just I eyeballed it and I decided on this one is okay for the pleats. It's going to be obvious like this. So you can do whatever you want here also. And I haven't done that. This is what we have. So I'm going ahead now to form the pleats. So I'm going ahead now to form the pleats. Okay. So this is what it looks like, right? This is what the pleat looks like. Okay. So now I'm using my scissors to remove the excess paper. Now you remember this very particular line because we've manipulated our darts. The line has broken, like it's no longer a straight line. So I'm going ahead to redraw it to meet that very 2-inch line at the waistline, like so. I'm going ahead to redraw it, okay? I'm going ahead now to redraw it to meet the very one at the waistline, like so. So once I'm done redrawing it, okay, once I'm done redrawing it, I'll go ahead to start cutting it open. I'll use my scissors now to cut it open so we can add fullness to it. I had to use my sellotape to hold down every part that is going to rip off when I'm cutting. Every part that will rip off while cutting, you want to use your tape and hold it down. I didn't actually see that part and it has opened. So I will go ahead to use my tape to hold it back in place, okay? So having held it in place, I went ahead to use my scissors to continue the cutting up until the shoulder. So here is it now. I'll start opening up this part so I can lay it flat. Having opened it, and this is what we're having, okay? I'll get a fresh pattern paper and I'll put this, because we want to create fullness, we want to add another pleat, okay? We want to add another pleat. So we're going to be creating another pleat, which is actually, as you can see on top of the screen, that pleat that went from the shoulder, okay? The very one that went from the shoulder, that is what we are trying to create now. So I'm going ahead now to add fullness, trying to make sure it's in alignment, okay? So opening it up, also the gap or the space between the two patterns is up to you, what you want to do, how many inches gap you want. I didn't leave any measurement. I didn't measurement. I eyeballed it, and I felt like this is okay. You can use how many inches you want, but I will advise you use maximum of 2 inches, okay, or 3 inches maximum. So I haven't done this now. I'm trying to pleat it so I can see what it looks like. And here, this is what it's going to look like. So I'm removing the excess papers around it. And also on the shoulder area, I'm removing the excess papers, okay? You want to be careful to make sure that your pattern, the fullness you're adding, is in alignment with your original pattern, okay? So I haven't done this now. This is what we are having. And then we head straight to the next thing, which is the neckline area. Because I want a deep neckline, I'll go ahead to contour my neckline area so that it's not going to be gapping on my body when I wear it. Now I marked an arc from my bust circumference. If you don't know what a bust circumference is, drop a comment in the comment section and I'll leave you to a tutorial. I'll give you the link to a tutorial that will explain that. So I'm contouring my neckline because it's a deep neckline. I'm going ahead to contour my neckline. I'm marking the dots for the contour like so. So having done that, from this very point of my shoulder, 1 inch from the very point of the very first pattern like so, I'm going ahead to create a V neckline sort of. And for the depth, I use 3 inches. I'll be using my ruler to connect this point. So at that point, I decided to deepen it a little. I added an extra 1 inch. Okay, so I'm going ahead to join this together like so to create that V neckline first. Having done that, the next thing we are going to be doing is, if you look at the down area, you find out that is open, okay, like the deep V neckline, there is a net attached to it. So I marked 1/2 inch, and from the waistline, I went up by 2 inches, okay, and I'm going to be connecting this like so to meet the 2 inches of the waistline. So this very part where it's open is where the net is going to be. The very part where the 2 inches stopped from the V neckline is where we are going to be attaching that net, okay. So I'm going ahead now to cut this open like so to create our neckline. So the next thing we are going to do now, I'm going to be creating a space where we will open the contour dart of the neckline. So I went ahead to cut open this part, and now we're going to be closing that dart to open it there. Okay, we're going to be closing this contour dart to open it at that point where I cut open. Then I went ahead to close up the dart like so. Using my tape, I held it down in place. So as you can see, that very part of the neckline has kind of, is shorter than each other. So we're going to treat it. It was because of the dots that we closed, which is not a problem. I added the fresh pattern paper to true it. That is to bring it back in place, to make everything to be in same order or in alignment, okay. So I used my tape to hold it down, and with my pen I'm going ahead to just treat to make sure everything is in order. I use my scissors to take off the excesses. So this is what the front pattern looks like. Okay, you guys, this is what the front pattern looks like. It's very simple, isn't it? So we'll head straight to drafting, of course, the lower pattern of it. Okay. If you have any question, leave a comment in the comment section, but I believe this video is very much explanatory. So heading straight to the lower bodice, which is the skirt part of it, not a skirt, it's a gown. The lower bodice, the first thing you're going to be doing is to eliminate the two darts. Sorry, to cut open the darts and tape them and close it. To close the two darts, okay, that's the first thing we're going to be doing. We're going to close the two darts. So I went ahead to flip my pattern so I can be able to do that. I'm cutting open the two darts and we'll be closing them up with our sellotape. So I'm going ahead to tape this down now like so. So I haven't taped it down. Now, the ideology behind this drape is that you want to come, you want the drape to be focused on one area. You want it to be more prominent on a particular area, okay? Which is this side. So you're going to be making a kind of the other part lower, and the drape is going to be pointing upper at one part. I really don't know how to explain this so you guys will understand much, but I'm going to be using my marker now to draw in some guidelines so you will understand what I'm trying to say clearly. So now, this is what I'm trying to say, okay? This is the kind of shape we desire to have. Something that is slanting and, kind of slanting like this. So I'm just marking in guidelines. These lines are going to guide me to know where I'm going to be cutting on. Okay, these lines are going to be guiding me to know where to cut on. So I'm just kind of making these lines so they can guide me when I'm cutting with my scissors to know how far I'm going to be cutting. You just want this to come up like so, okay? If you love, you can also decide not to make your lines to be straight. You can make it kind of curved if that's what you want. Just make sure the drapes are pointing towards a particular direction. I hope you understand what I'm saying. So I'm going to now to use my scissors to form these drapes like so. To cut, sorry, I'm using my scissors to cut on the lines. Not on the lines in particular. Like I said, they are guidelines. So I can cut before or after the line. It's just a line to guide me to know where I'm going to cut and where not to cut, or the kind of shape that I desire to cut. Okay, so that's what I'm doing right now. So I kind of ripped that very part and I used my sellotape to hold it down. You want to be very careful while doing this so you don't rip your pattern. I used my sellotape to hold it down. I went ahead to cut it to and not through. So this is what I have. I kind of created more pleats so that it can be tinier. I created more pleats so it can be tinier, okay? So this is what it looks like. We are going to be cutting on the fabric and I'm going to be giving detailed explanations why cutting on the fabric. So you do not want to click out of this video. You don't want to stop watching. You want to watch till the cutting. You want to see every explanation I have to give. So I went ahead to place the pattern on my fabric and I started cutting. Okay, I placed it on the fabric. Now I used something to hold it down so that it can stay in place. Okay, I went ahead to start cutting. As you can see, I'm cutting exactly the shape that I have at my waistline. I'm cutting exactly the shape that I have and also how many inches allowance. Of course, I went ahead to eyeball it. I left 1 inch. I think that should be about 1 inch, okay? You can decide, that is optional. You can decide on how many inches allowance that you want to leave. So for the center front, that 2-inch line is on fold. And then the rest of it, you're cutting the others out. Also on the shoulder line, I'm marking according to the way the pattern is. So now I'll be using my pen to mark where I'm going to be draping and where I'm supposed to leave out. I'm using my pen to mark this. Please make sure you use your pen to do this because while sewing, it is these lines that will help you to know where to fold in and where not to fold in, okay? While sewing, it is these markings that will help you. I haven't done that. I went ahead to use my scissors to create notches so that the markings can appear on both sides. Okay, the notches will appear on both sides. Like I said, while sewing, it is these markings that will help you to know where to fold in and where not to fold in. Okay. When I have to place it back on it, and I'll be setting this aside. Next thing now, we're going to cut the lower part of it, okay? And I went ahead to place my pattern on the fabric. I'm placing my pattern now on the fabric like so. You want to place it in a way that you have not cut anything, like the way it is, the way your skirt pattern was. Then from there, you go ahead to start opening it up to form your drapes. You start opening it up for the allowance you need for your drapes. I went ahead to start opening it up like so for the allowance needed for the drapes, okay? So I felt like it was outward. I haven't created much fullness, so I had to push it inwards a little. And then I went ahead to start spreading it also. So at this point, I okay with what I have. I'm going ahead now to cut. Make sure you leave your half-inch allowance all round for your sewing, for your seam allowance, half-inch all round or as much as you want. I'm also using my pen here to mark, but this part is not really necessary. I'll show you what to do, so it's going to be easier for you. I'm going to show you what to do right now. You don't have to start marking like you did for the upper bodies. Okay, so I'm going to show you what to do right now, so it's going to be easier for you. Now, the easiest thing to do is to put back this pattern the way it was before you slash and spreaded it. You're supposed to do this even before the slash and spread, but if you didn't do it before the slash and spread, there's no problem. Just put it back. Now, when you put it back, you want to measure on this side how many inches you have from where you started slashing to where you stopped your slash. You want to measure how many inches you have. And for mine, it is 4 inches. Okay. So now what I have is 4 inches. When I'm forming these drapes, I'm going to be making sure that the length of the drapes are that part